fraud. We're talking about life-changing, emptying bank accounts, ruining life type of fraud.
As soon as we kind of plug the hole that may be used by the fraudsters, they're finding another one that they can then start, poking through. I'm always honored when I feel like, or I even have a customer tell me that they do trust me.
All right, on today's show, we have Jeff Johnson, not to be confused with the other Jeff Johnson that owns the car dealership.
The little Jeff, yeah.
So, you're Big Jeff.
I'm Big Jeff. I give people really good deals on cars all the time, though, when they call and ask if it's still in stock. So, yeah.
It's not your car, so you don't care. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, he loves it. So.
Well, Jeff is with BancFirst, Kingfisher Branch.
Yes, sir.
And you're the president.
I am.
All right. Wow. I'm excited.
Yeah.
So, how did you end up in Kingfisher? You're not originally from, are you originally from Kingfisher?
No, I was born and raised in Oklahoma City.
Okay.
And the short version of the story is I fell in love with a beautiful girl from Kingfisher that we actually met in high school through student council and ended up going to the same undergraduate school out of state, and then always kind of had the plan that we would eventually move back to Kingfisher. So been officially residing in Kingfisher since 2001, so I'm still kind of a new guy in terms of
you have to live there like 100 years.
Yeah,
before
exactly.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, but the last name helps a little bit.
Yes, kind of gives you a little, slides you in.
That's right, yeah.
So, was BancFirst your first job in Kingfisher, or have you?
I started out, so my original career path was as an educator and administrator. So my first job in Kingfisher, I was working at Kingfisher High School. I was hired on as a 24-year-old assistant principal at the high school, and did that for 2 or 3 years before I had an opportunity to do something else, which happened to be banking. But yeah, that was kind of where I cut my teeth.
Was banking even on the radar?
Not really. No. It's funny because I talk to a lot of people it doesn't even really matter if it's banking or what the industry is. Their career path, and my dad's 82 years old. He still says he doesn't know what he wants to do when he grows up. But I tell most people, if you're going to go to college, you need that degree. But if you get the degree, it doesn't necessarily have to define what you're doing for the rest of your life, unless you're going to go to be a doctor or something.
Well, that's kind of important. Yeah, but other than that, sure.
I like my doctors to have some professional schooling.
Hope he has some training. Yes.
That's right.
So, I know, I'm a small business owner. What is BancFirst? What role do you play in helping businesses and things like this?
Well, it's probably what I like the most about being a banker, and what I really enjoy about working for BancFirst is BancFirst understands the role of a community bank, and they treat our community banks. We are managed differently than how they manage the Oklahoma City and Tulsa banks. And by that, I mean they understand the need for us to be able to have a lot more of a hands-on personal approach with our customers. They have done an excellent job in keeping what I would call the autonomy, the ability to make those decisions for our customers at the local level.
Wow.
So I don't have to say, well, I understand what you want to do, but let me check with Oklahoma City and see if it's okay. They've given us the ability in 99% of anything that comes up where we can solve the problem for you on the spot.
Much more personal approach.
Absolutely, and that's important to us.
Relationship banking.
It is, and they allow us to have those relationships by, our staff, for example. Excellent crew of people that we've got working at the bank, but we've got 25 employees at our location in BancFirst, which is probably 3 or 4 times the number of employees that any other bank around here is going to have, because we have the ability to do everything that we need to do locally. We need the people inside the bank in order to do those things locally.
I love it. So when people hear the word banking, they don't always think of trust. What do you mean by as a president of the bank, what does that mean to you? I mean, how do you gain their trust?
Well, I think it's something, I don't ever take it for granted. I think it has to be earned. I think it has to be earned over time. And I'm always honored when I feel like, or I even have a customer tell me that they do trust me. A lot of my role at the bank and any officers that we have within our bank is, we partner a lot with not only companies, but with individuals. We do a lot of, call it financial counseling. We serve almost as like an advisor in some cases, or a partner in businesses and making decisions. Customers will want to just kind of come in and, bounce an idea around, or what do you think about this, or, what would be the best approach for maybe doing that. Doesn't necessarily mean I'm the expert, but
Well, you have a lot of connections. If someone had a question about a certain thing,
That's right.
We used to call it your Rolodex, but nowadays it's networking.
Yeah.
You could help them.
That's exactly right. I've got a huge Rolodex within the world of BancFirst and even beyond, and as far as seeing how, sometimes if you don't need to reinvent the wheel, that you can save both time and money, but sometimes the wheel that was previously invented wasn't necessarily round, and you kind of learn from that example too, and not make the same mistakes. One of the other things I really enjoy about my job is because I do get to work with so many different types of businesses and so many different industries. It's kind of like I get that opportunity to peek behind the curtain a little bit and see how company A does things that, it may be the same type of company as company B, but they have different ways of going about doing it. So I enjoy that, and I think it gives me an opportunity anyway to kind of share some of that knowledge with others.
So I can pull my money out of my mattress now.
Yeah, I would hope so. Yeah. Out of the freezer or wherever it is you may be keeping it. I've seen,
under the rock in the backyard.
Yeah, I've seen cash brought in wrapped in tinfoil that's still cold because it's literally been in the freezer. So yeah.
Okay,
exactly.
Well, there you go. And I know I've interacted with you and your staff in the public. I mean, you're a pretty significant supporter in Kingfisher County. And why do you do that? I mean, what's the point?
Well, I think that feeds back into the entire idea of a community bank. We're not just a place to come deposit your money. We're not just a place to come borrow money in the event you need to. We are only as successful as the communities that we support. And that means to, help not only support and foster the businesses that we have, but to help them grow, to, help new businesses as they come in that will improve the community. And the reach that we have, just based on our geographic location in the world of BancFirst, we pull from, all places north and west and northwest, just because we are the furthest northwest BancFirst location. So, our customer pull from Enid is huge, even Fairview, Cleo Springs, all the way up into that neck of the
Well, I was going to ask you, what's your circle? So that.
Yeah, it is a very wide net that we cast. We're proud to be in Kingfisher County, but I think our net definitely
Multiple counties.
Yeah, beyond, into Blaine, into Garfield, and even south into Canadian, over to Logan, all points in between.
Awesome. When we come back, we're going to talk about the sneaky little thing called fraud. And stay tuned. And we're back. So there's this thing running around now, I guess it kind of came along with the internet or proliferated with the internet of fraud. And I'm not talking about, I travel a lot and I get my debit card compromised quite often. We're not talking about that kind of fraud. We're talking about life-changing, emptying bank accounts, ruining life type of fraud. And as a bank, you have to deal with that sometimes. Is there any examples, or what's your take on that?
Well, yeah, unfortunately, I've got a lot of examples. And in most cases, it's an after-the-fact conversation that we have with the customer. And I would dare say in almost every example, it is too late for us to even be able to help. I mean, clearly, I think it's no surprise to anybody watching this that most of the individuals targeted with that fraud would be considered elderly, although we've seen it with very young people too. And it takes on all shapes and forms, but it does most often seem to at least initiate through the internet, although we have seen some recent examples that have initiated through just even direct phone calls or text messages. So, and it always seems like, as much or as hard as we as a bank work to try to eliminate those opportunities for that fraud to happen, as soon as we kind of plug the hole that may be used by the fraudsters, they're finding another one that they can then start, poking through. And then the other thing that's difficult too is, it's an easy message to convey. I think it's a pretty clear message that needs to be conveyed, but how do you get that in front of the right people that need to see that too, right? Because they're probably not going to be surfing Facebook and watching videos on Facebook that pop up. We need to find the avenues that they are actually paying attention to.
I think it's a lot of, because we've done a lot of promotional thing about fraud and things like that, and it's hard to describe how significant it is unless it's happened to you. And I've heard stories of, somebody's mother got scammed or something like that, but when it gets close to home, it's like, oh my gosh, why didn't you know that?
But yeah, and it's easy to cast judgment and say, well, that's, that would never happen to me. I can't believe they were so gullible. But until it happens to you or someone you love, I've spent time in my office with customers who are scared to death. They've locked themselves in their bathroom for 20 hours the previous day because they were on the phone with somebody claiming to have kidnapped their grandson and were holding him for ransom. I think one of the most recent examples I've been able to work through with a customer actually is the only one that I've experienced that really had a happy ending. Had a retired teacher who, through a pop-up on her computer screen, ended up calling the number, which of course is not taking you to Microsoft, it's taking you to the bad guys. And she withdrew $30,000 cash out of her accounts at the bank and boxed it up and took it to UPS and sent it to the address that they were telling her to send it to. And they have a very well rehearsed script that they use and they continue to tweak. And for, varying reasons that all seemed very legitimate to her, she ended up doing that. And really the only thing that allowed us to intervene and get that money back for her is she happened to send it on the day before Thanksgiving. And it was sent overnight mail, but because of the Thanksgiving holiday, it bought an extra 24 hours, which by the time we got involved in the phone calls that were made, we literally had about a 30-minute window that we were working with in order to basically get that package routed back to her as opposed to the final destination.
Wow. Yeah. Oh my gosh, it was probably already on the truck.
Oh, it was well on the truck. Yeah, absolutely.
Holy mackerel. That's, and that's common. I hear, why in the world would you put money in a box if you think it's Microsoft?
Well, and they've got a reason, they've got a story. And part of that too is what they're being told, even if you lose this money, the bank has FDIC insurance and you can get that back, which is not how that works, right? So just to be clear.
Yeah.
And I think the message, if there's one sentence that I can say that I want anybody and everybody to hear, including my parents and my mother and father-in-law, is if somebody tells you not to do something or not to tell somebody what's going on, you should probably tell somebody what's going on.
Yeah.
And the other thing I want to make sure that I convey too, which is something that we run into quite often, we are asking our customers that come either through the drive-through or to the teller line, if they are withdrawing a large amount of cash, we are asking them, what's your plan? What is it that, why are you needing $20,000 cash? And oftentimes that can ruffle some feathers because, it's my money. What do you care what I'm doing with my money? And you're absolutely right. It is your money. We want you to have your money, but we also want to make sure that you're not about to put it in a box and mail it to California or let somebody come to your house and pick it up as a courier. So those are questions that we are asking on purpose, knowing that it might set somebody off a little bit, but it's only because of the experiences that we have, that we've seen, that are real, that are Kingfisher experiences, that we're asking those questions.
Fraud's not always the other guy.
That's true. That's exactly right.
Probably right on your doorstep. So why, for someone that maybe has never used BancFirst, why should they maybe consider BancFirst?
That's a really good question. And I think we've got 4 really good banks in Kingfisher. And that number will grow as you start including Hennessy and other locations. But in terms of BancFirst, I think what really sets us apart is what I've already talked about, our autonomy that we have, the ability to make these decisions locally, and the fact that we are a very big bank in terms of not only size, but also products and services that we offer. There's really nothing in the world of banking, and even beyond, that a customer might need that we really wouldn't be able to offer them a solution for. That could extend to trust services, that can extend to insurance. So we have those solutions at our fingertips, but ultimately, I think it has to do with who it is you're going to see when you walk in the doors that can help you, or when you pick up the phone and call us and you're going to be talking to somebody in Kingfisher, and an actual human who probably already knows you and who you are, and they're going to be able to, in most cases, figure out what it is that you need or the problem that you're having and get that solved for you pretty darn fast.
I know back in the day, if you were a big bank, you acted like a big bank, and it was, well, we don't know who you are kind of a thing, where the relationship you have with, I guess, the mothership, if you would, is there is a nice little disconnect that allows you to interact, locally.
Well, and it goes back to and how they treat us as one of the community banks, and treating us differently with different expectations or different, the autonomy piece of being able to solve those problems, and how they don't just lump us in with Oklahoma City and Tulsa, because they recognize that there is a difference, and we're going to, yes, we're all still banks, but we're a different type of bank. We're a community bank, and that's important that we don't lose that flavor of the services that we offer.
Fantastic. Jeff, thanks for hanging out with us today.
Yeah,
this is pretty cool. If you need a bank, you might check in with BancFirst at the corner of 33 and 81.
Pretty much, yeah. Just right there, right
behind Casey's.
Right behind Casey's. That's right.
All right. Thanks, Jeff.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Stay tuned.